Hi, I'm Larry Cox for DIY Road Cases. Today's installment we're going to discuss and demonstrate installation for our edge and corner casters, which allow you to create a case that has tilt and roll capabilities as opposed to cases that have casters on all four corners and roll freely. There's a little bit of a technique involved, and we're going to go over all of that for you here today. So let's go ahead and take a look. We are going to use this particular case mock-up for showing an installation of an edge caster. As you can see, it's just extrusions and panels at this point, an unfinished case, so that you can see how the process will work. This edge caster will require a cutout in the extrusion in the case wall in order for it to recess into the case and be flush on the outside. A cutout in the top portion, and a similar cutout in this other panel, to allow the hub for the wheel to recess into the case and lie flush on the exterior. As you can see, the hub has a nut and a bolt head on either side of the hub itself, so that when you make the cutout in the case wall and the extrusion, you have to allow for this bolt head and this nut, which is the axle for the wheel. Now, regarding the panel and the extrusion, if you see, the wood does not go all the way to the very edge of the extrusion, the way that it sits in the channel. So you'll want to make sure that you start your measuring from the edge of the extrusion and not the edge of the wood. If you follow the line cutting from the edge of the wood, this actual cutout would be back too far away from the edge of the extrusion, and therefore it would stick out beyond the flange of the caster. Always start from this edge of the extrusion when you're measuring. Now you'll want to create some type of a little template the size of your cutout for whatever caster that you purchase, and make a mark at the very halfway point, which you will slide all the way to the edge of the extrusion right on the corner. Then I would take some tape and tape this little template in place. This way it will not move, because the next thing that you're going to do is trace the actual cutout by taking a pencil and a straight edge and going all of the way around your paper template. Remove the paper, and then your pencil lines will be there. It may be a little difficult to see on camera here, but trust me, you can see them just fine. If you want to take a Sharpie and trace over them, that's fine as well. Now you've got your cutout located for your panel and where to make cuts on your extrusion. The next thing you'll want to do is isolate the panels that you're going to cut and remove the extrusion so that you can actually make the cutout in the extrusion as well. Now, taking a jigsaw, you will make the cutout in the first panel to accommodate the 1/2 of the caster hub. And then do the same with the other section of panel to accommodate the other half of the caster hub. Now you have your panels cut and your extrusion cut, and you are ready to reassemble. As you can see, everything lines up perfectly from the marks that you made from your template. And the reassembly process is easy and painless. Now you have your hole, which is the perfect size for dropping the caster back into place. Perfect fit. Lastly, you will install all of the rivets by drilling holes through the case and the extrusion using backing washers inside, and then that caster is complete. You'll do the same thing for the second caster in the other location. Apply your ball corners, and then that section of the case will be complete. Much like our edge caster, which is mounted and cut into the edge of an extrusion on the case, we have our corner caster. Corner casters have an interior hub that recesses down into the corner section of your case where the two actual angle extrusions come together. This surface works and acts as the corner. Basically, we'll be taking a chunk out of all three sections at that corner joint, basically as if you were just removing a portion of that entire corner. The cutout will take all three panels and all three pieces of extrusion to create the hole for the recessed hub. As you can see, the recessed hub is on the outer edge of the caster and will recess down into a hole in the corner. If you set the caster like this, with the outer edges of the flanges up against the extrusion on the corner, you can see where to make your lines for the cutout. Same thing with the back side. Watch for the little hub where the nut is, where the axle comes out, and you can see where that imaginary line would be. And you can make your line accordingly to accommodate the full hub and the nut for the axle. You'll measure the depth of the hub and make your markings accordingly on the lower section, connecting your lines and dots to create the full three-dimensional cutout for the recessed hub. Once all of your lines are complete, marking the entire cutout area, you would do the same thing as what you did with your edge caster with the extrusions and panel cutouts. And there you have it. Your cutout hole from all three panels and all three pieces of extrusion, allowing for the recess of the hub for the corner caster. Another perfect fit. And just as with your edge caster, you'll drill your rivet holes, install your rivets with backing washers, and you're ready to go. Well, there you have it. The tilt and roll scenario is a great option for cases that are too heavy to carry, but are not large enough to have four casters on the bottom. This allows you the opportunity to just install these two casters, whether it's on the edge or the corner, tilt your case, and roll it away. For DIY Road Cases, I'm Larry Cox. We'll see you out on the road.